I've lost the books. I don't know where they are. Friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah from Ink and Hue Coloring. Today is part 4 of our 4-part series on mixed pencil brands. And we're coloring Onyx by Christine Karron in Christine Karron's Wondrous Folk. How amazing. If you've just joined us for this series, feel free to go back and watch parts 1 to 3. So every video has a different focus to do with mixed pencil brands. So the first video was focusing on the skin, the second was the hair, and the third was the clothing and the accessories. Today, we are doing the background, and I'm so excited because I'm using my favorite colors. And what's more exciting about using greens and teals, right? So let's dive right in without further ado. So as you can see here, I have ruled in some lines already. I'm hoping you can see that. I've ruled in some lines. So essentially all I've done to rule those in is I've just gone with the corners of the image below and I measured those up, and they are exactly 3 centimeters, 30 mil to the edges of the page. So I capped it off at 30 centimeters. Wow, 3 centimeters, not 30. It's like the whole page. I've capped it off at 30 mil as well. I nearly did it again. Just so we're nice and square. Sometimes I find that actually squaring off the background section is an easier way to complete a background. Sometimes just having a complete negative space can feel a little bit overwhelming and we're a bit unsure how to deal with it, especially with mediums like watercolor, where it's a bigger space and it's just more room just to feel overwhelmed. So sometimes if you're starting out with backgrounds, it's a really good idea just to do a little bit at a time, get your confidence up, and then once that's all sorted, then we can start working on bigger areas. So we're going to be just in this little section today. Okay, so I am going with some delicious teals and greens today. So 2 different brands. I've got the Derwent Inktense up the top here and the Albrecht Durers down the bottom. So in the Inktense, we've got Mallard Green, 1230, Green Aquamarine, 1220, Teal Green, 1300, and in the Albrecht Durers, Cobalt Green, 156, Helio Turquoise, 155, Chrome Oxide Green Fiery, 276. And I don't necessarily have color combinations. I just look at different teals and different greens and mix all the colors together. So you can see most of these, yes, they're teals. And we're also looking at very blue greens, which is what teal is anyway. So yeah, just going all in the same color family. I might eventually bring out some gold watercolor paint as well if I feel it's fitting, but we're going to start with these. So I always mix my watercolors together. The difference between your Inktense and your Albrecht Durers is the formulation. So of course, Derwent Inktense is an ink and pencil hybrid. So they're going to be a lot brighter, a lot juicier in application, I suppose. Albrecht Durers are going to be a little bit less vibrant. So I like using both together because I don't always want to have something like super saturated color everywhere. I like to use both because it just creates a bit of movement and I like the diversity of colors as well. So with the Derwent Inktense, when you apply them, once they're activated, it's pretty much, you can't really shift the color once it's been activated. Even if you go in again, you can shift a little bit. So yeah, don't get me wrong. It's not like like 100% of the ink is locked in. I'd say about 80 to 90% is locked in once it's dry. But with the Albrecht Durers, from my experience, you can pick them up and move them around. So I'm going to start with this Mallard Green. And this is just how I do my watercolors at the moment. I might change the way that I do it. This is just what's working for me at the minute. So I'm going to work on my first layer. Generally what I like to do is start from the corners. That's where my darkest points are going to be. Darker down here, maybe around here. And I'm just going to like thread the color through and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to start on the right because I am left-handed. And I'm just going to use a medium pressure and just start layering the color down like so. You don't have to be too precious about it because it's going to be water activated. So just a medium pressure, because these are very pigmented as well. So you can see I've got some color there starting, and I'm going to bring some out a bit here as well. I don't really have a method exactly as to how and where I apply the colors, other than from the corners and the borders. It changes per picture. So if you are experimenting with watercolor backgrounds, just play around with different types, play around with different effects, play around with different lighting directions. There are lots of different ways, and I think the more you do it, the more you play with it, the more it starts to become natural, and you learn where you like to place your colors. You learn what works, what doesn't work. The only way you're going to figure it out is by diving in and having a crack. So that's what this whole video is for, is to encourage you to dive in and have a go. So you can see, look, this is not very neat. There's scribbly bits everywhere. That's fine for me. I'm not worried about that. I'm not pressing too hard, so it's not gonna stay permanent on the page once I activate that water. Like, you won't see the pencil marks very much at all. If we do see it, we can just change it, because it does depend on the paper. I'll go a bit down here. I just feel like bringing it out from here. So with backgrounds, personally, I like a dappled effect. I like something fairly fluid. Especially for this kind of background where it's like a solid shape behind a portrait, I just like it to blend in. Doesn't really have much structure to it other than the borders. But we're just going to move the colors around. And I'm just going to go with what I feel works. And so because I've got a lot of this color down here, I'm going to probably fill more in, because I feel like sometimes balancing where your colors are is important. So you kind of want to have the same amount of color on the same side, but just structure it in a way that, so yes, I want to be really fluid with it, but at the same time, I kind of want to have like a color balance there and a color balance up here, because it's like on the diagonal. I don't necessarily want to have a huge thing and then hardly any of it anywhere else. So it's like, be fluid about it, but also have a little bit of a think, sometimes to take a step back and think, does the color balance look pretty good? Do you need to add it anywhere else? And honestly, you don't need to get more technical than that. I try not to anyway, because sometimes I find that if I'm too technical for myself, I just get lost and I don't know what I'm doing. So bit up there. I'm gonna do a bit over here. Okay, I'm gonna grab the green aquamarine 1220. And I'm just gonna add it into a different spot. And if you like, you can also overlap your colors a little bit. So I'm going to grab a bit of that. Double it over. You can mix your colors. It's fine. Because these are greeny teal colors, yeah, it'll be fine. Sometimes, you know, I wouldn't necessarily mix green with purple. But you can mix your colors absolutely. Over from the corner here as well. Just going to drag this up a little bit like that. Sometimes, so I was talking about color balancing. So I was talking about balancing with colors. So making sure that if we've got a lot here, we've got a lot up there. And to try and make both sides look a little bit even. Even though I say that, you can actually be really fluid with the shapes. You don't have to just have, so see here, I'm just dragging it out in random spots. If that comes up on the camera, you can just see how I've got little squiggles just randomly. Just be really fluid with it. You don't have to have it in this perfect circle or a perfect, you don't. You certainly don't have to. Just play around with it, see what works for you, see what you like. Right, now I'm going to go in with this teal green color. And remember, you can layer your watercolors, so, well, I do anyway. So it doesn't matter when we do the first pass and you might feel like the colors don't look right or they're in the wrong spot. You can just add another layer and it'll start to bring it together. You can also use these dry if you want to as well, if you're not interested in activating them, or maybe you might be coloring on paper that doesn't like it. That's totally fine too. You can just use them dry. I just like using water because it's just something different. Okay, so now that I've got some like loose shapes here with the Inktense, I'm now going to go through and start to fill these gaps with the Albrecht Durers. I'm going to try and leave a separation between darker points and lighter points, so we have a bit of a shift going on, so it all doesn't blend together and just look like the one color. We still want to keep a bit of structure. So let's start with our Helio Turquoise, the 155 in the Albrecht Durers. Any watercolor pencil will work. If you don't have any Derwent Inktense or any Albrecht Durers, anything will work. So I encourage you just to grab what you have. Or maybe you're interested in trying the Derwent Inktense. So maybe this type of background, you could go out and just grab these colors, see if they work for you. Maybe you've been wanting to try them. Maybe you've already got the Inktense and you're like, I'm really scared to use them. Help me. Bit over there, bit down here. Now the reason why I've chose these colors is because I want to match this. Is that an onyx? I actually don't know what it is. The necklace. I want to match the teals in the necklace. So I've picked colors that match that. I even think I use the colors exactly from memory that I'm going to be using today. I also do want to darken up the corners a little bit. So I'm actually going to use the ink black, and I'm just going to do a little bit. Just a little bit, just enough so I can blend it through. With the Derwent Inktense, if you want to mix colors, you're better off doing it from when the pencil's dry. Because if I were to add black on the teal after, it's pretty much just going to sit on top of it. It's not going to blend as well compared to if you blend them dry and then activate them. That's just in my little opinion anyway. So start a little bit down here as well. I'm going to go in with this chrome oxide green fiery 276. Same thing. Just going to start dragging it out a little bit. We can do more layers if we need to. It is all good. And if we find that it's not behaving like we want to, that is also all good. We can just layer it up. We can go over it. We can fix it. We're going to go all Bob the Builder on it. I'm really enjoying playing around with, as you know, with watercolor. I bang on about it. Join the teal and the blue up a little bit. I'm going to join this up. Okay, yeah. I'd consider myself still very early in my watercolor journey, and that goes for backgrounds, basing, everything. But even though I consider myself still fairly early in it, I'm like, look, I can just bring you along for the ride. You don't have to be perfect at something in order to do it. Just get in and do it. Play with it. I'm going to add a bit of this in with the teal, see how that looks. Lastly, I'm going in with a cobalt green, and I'm just going to pop it over the white areas. This is quite a light pencil. So like I was saying at the start, the Albrecht Durers are much lighter than the Inktense. Most watercolor pencils will be lighter than the Inktense. The Inktense are quite intense because they are ink, which is why I like to play around with a few different things. The other watercolor pencil that I've actually been really enjoying, that I picked up yesterday, that I've been playing with, I don't know if you've seen this or not. This is another type of pencil that I'm adding to the list, is the Derwent Graphite Tint. Now, as the name implies, these are graphite with a little bit of pigment as a watercolor pencil. So these are great for if you're trying to do like a base layer and you want it to be grey with a little bit of tone, these are perfect for that. So you can see they're both grey, right? But they've just got a tint of something. Shadow and the slate green. So why I'm saying that, because the Inktense can be very bright, very vibrant, and sometimes you want to go for something a little bit more muted. So that's where these come in handy. So that is it's another type of pencil that I'm adding into my ever changing pencil collection. Once I get a wrangle of those, I'll probably do videos with them. I've been playing with them yesterday. They're really fun. I just buy them singularly. If I find a new pencil brand, I'll buy one or two, I'll play with them. If I like them, I'll buy more. If I don't, then I'll leave them. But if you are wanting something more muted, maybe you could give those a go. And they work just the same. Because sometimes, I don't know, sometimes we don't need bright and vibrant all the time. Sometimes. I find muted tones and browns and things to be very grounding. So we can have a lot of bright colours, but just adding in a bit of brown, adding in a bit of greys and things just really just calms everything down a bit. Bit over there. Okay, now for the fun part. If you just have dry pencils and you just want to keep building this up with layers, feel free to do that. You'd probably apply your pencils a little bit more neater than I have. But you just keep building up your colours and make sure that you keep your light and your dark areas. But we are applying water today, so we will continue. So I'm using one of the Arteza brushes. This is the second smallest. It's got a slightly bigger brush tip. I like using the bigger one for areas like this because it's like, yes, if I was going for a traditional dappled Neocolor 2 effect, I would use the smaller brush. But I'm going for something just a little bit different. I'm going for something a bit more cloudy. So we're going to see how it turns out. I often have the Three Amigos with me when I'm doing watercolor. So I have 3 different sizes. I have they're all small, but compared to each other, the smaller one, the medium, and the large. But again, they are all pretty small compared to other brushes. I have them all ready to go with water, just in case I want to play with things and play with the texture. Get yourself a cloth as well, or whatever you use, and we're just going to dive straight in. So I'm going to go from the right-hand side. Again, left-hander problems, left-hander life. So I'm going to start from the lighter areas and work my way in. A bit too much water. Sometimes it doesn't really matter on single-sided books if you've got too much water or not, because there's no image on the other page, but still, like, you don't want to flood it. Bring that up a bit. Bring that out. That's that section. Fun. Right, light again, drag it back. This is pretty much how I do the Neocolor 2s as well. This is how I do everything. I'm using the bigger brush because like I was saying, I don't want it to look as dappled, but in terms of how I move my brush, it's kind of the same. I had a few people on my last video ask, where was my last one or the one before? A few people ask if I use Neocolor 2s. Yes, I do. I love them. I do have a few videos on them and how to use them, and I plan on doing more. So just to have a bit of variety in the videos. And I'm just going to keep. You do have to work fairly quickly with the Inktense. Lighter part. Drag it out because you can get some You get some funky lines going if you don't. So it's just what I'm thinking about at the minute is, yes, going from light to dark, but also making sure that I activate, that I don't start over here, then start over here. Like you have to do it fairly quickly because I don't want the edges of what I've already done to dry. So for example, if I did this bit, I wouldn't stop there and then go over here. You keep working around that bit because it's activated. So otherwise you're going to end up with a bit of a circle. And look, sometimes if that happens, it, like, don't panic, you can work around it. I think sometimes we can freak out a bit too much about getting the perfect colouring page. Which, look, we all love that, right? Like, we all love something that looks good, but at the same time, don't let it stop you. Yeah, see how that black just really just deepens it up a bit? And you can't really see the black anymore because we've activated it with water. Right, next side. So I'm going to go here, work my way down. That's Albrecht Durers, so I know that I can leave that and reactivate it. That's not Distress ink. Distress ink? Whoa, what world am I in? Derwent Inktense. I feel like I'm going to have to do so many, like, editor's note, I was not talking about Distress ink. Oh, on the Distress inks, I've found my new favourite thing, which is the oxides. See how I've got a bit of pooling there? It dried a little bit. I must have had some kind of Inktense there. That's all right, we can go over it, doesn't matter. I'll leave it there. I think that's also part of watercolor too, is that it's not a seamless medium. It's not something that always needs to be ultra smooth. You can certainly aim for that if that's your vibe, and that's fine. But don't stress if it doesn't, because yeah, it's kind of not always anyway. Up the side, dot that out. Oh, love these colours. Woo! Love them. Tap it out a little bit. So the Derwent Inktense always do have a bit of a bloom about the colours, which means that even if you blend it out really well, often it'll dry darker and you'll see more lines. They tend to do that, in my experience, a little bit more. So if you're wanting to, say, base and do some underpainting for skin, maybe don't use the Inktense because you'll get some funky lines going on, unless you're after the lines, that is. Unless you're like, nope, that's part of it. It's part of the artistic expression. Go for it. Yeah, like bloom is that line. So you've just, with the Inktense, you've got to work a little bit harder to get that out. But I don't know, maybe you're on the hunt for lots of different types of Derwent Inktense tutorials, and maybe there'll be a colorist that can show you a technique that works really well. I just do it how I like it. And I go, yep, that works. No, that doesn't work. On to the next thing. We'll figure it out. I actually really like how cloudy it's looking. I like it. Even just the first layer, like, yeah. With the first layer of any type of watercolor, it's always like, yeah, it's okay, but it could be looking better, but I'm happy with how this is looking. Your first layer is always like very desaturated. It's kind of like you're just mapping where your colors are going to go, and then you'll figure it out with the next layer. So I am working fairly quickly because of how things dry. I have seen people use like a water, like a spray bottle to keep everything damp. Probably wouldn't do that on a colouring page because the paper's not thick enough. But if you were actually doing watercolour on watercolour paper, then you could keep it wet by using a spray bottle. I have seen artists do that, and I thought that looks pretty cool. Okay. Okay, we're going to let that dry. All right, so that's pretty dry. So you could often just leave it for 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm just going to go in with the mallard green, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Just going to go over it. Go over where we went. On for layer 2. In the corners. I feel like that side's just a little bit damp still, so I will just try and avoid it if I can. I'm just building up in the same spots. I'll bring a little bit here. I'm going to overlap them a little bit just to play around with the different colours and kind of just see how they can all overlap and things. Yeah, I'm just playing around with it. I really like the shift between greens, blues and teals. Just the different hues you can get. Just, I love it. I'm going to bring up a bit here because this patch was a little bit, see how it's like there's a line? I'm going to try and cover over that. But I'm not fussed if I can't, it's fine. A little bit through here, the edges. If you want to have a play with different watercolor effects, but you're too scared to jump in the coloring book straight off, which don't worry, I get it. You can grab, just grab like a watercolor pad of paper and just start playing around with different techniques. Draw some boxes, draw some circles, do like, you know, pretend backgrounds. shift those in together. That was a little bit down just behind here too, which I'll bring out. Bit over that teal. Again, I'm still being quite, I wouldn't say the word rough, but I'm just being like bleh about it because I'm going to activate it with water. Teal green. Oh, I love these colors. Do you have colors that just like get you so excited? Like colors that could just get you out of bed in the morning? Yeah. These colors. Funny. Get up here. Just going to go over that section just to low it. This side, bring it up top just a bit. Excuse my non-precise border. We could end up framing it with like a gel pen or a paint marker or something. I'll see how I'm feeling about that. I can't decide just yet. I don't know. Sometimes it looks nice without it. Sometimes it needs it. But you be the judge of that. For your stuff. Down the bottom. Love it. Okay. Green aquamarine, which I've used this a lot. I'm surprised that it's still like a full-size pencil. I feel like I use this every time. Did I use this before? No, I didn't. Probably noticed too that if I'm trying to cover larger areas of stuff larger areas of paper with a pencil, notice how I've just got my hand pulled back, whereas if I was doing tiny stuff, I'd probably have it more forward. So yeah, back a bit. It's just because I'm doing bigger circles. Bit up here. Yep. Oh gosh. This is like kindergarten colouring. It's like, sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you just need to do that. Don't know if I'm going to add the black again. I feel like it was good for the corners, but I don't want to go, don't want to, on the second layer, I might leave it. I think we're good. I think we can, I think we'll survive. But yeah, I'm glad I did it for the first one. It just adds us that little bit of something. Oh, dang, I just love these pencils. Ugh. Just love me Derwents and my Albrecht Durers and my polychromos, and yeah. Right. Methinks I'm just going to go straight in with that cobalt green, the 156 in the Albrecht Durers. I'm liking the way these light parts are looking. I don't want to make those too dark with other colours. So I'm just going to go over them with the lightest colour. I don't want to lose them too much. See how far back my hand is? Because I'm covering bigger areas. You don't have to do it, just try it. See if you like it, see if it feels good in your hand. See if it feels, yeah, better. Might feel weird, it might give you the ick. If it's ick, don't do it. Right, water time. We could even do a third layer of just pencil. We'll see. We'll see how it looks. I'm going to go from down the bottom. I feel too, the bigger your brush, the more waters that is going to come out. So just keep that in mind. Probably should have said that at the start, but oh well. It's looking very nice and vibrant. I'm just going to quickly try and join this up. Sometimes you've just got no choice but to start in another section that's a bit further away than you'd like. Even that out a bit, Sarah. I feel like I turn very mad scientist when it comes to watercolor, and I like it. Not mad about it. Oh, look at those colors. Oh, love it. Oh. Teal me. Teal is heal. Tealing is healing. This is the Lord's color. That's one side. Pretty good. That will bit there. It's looking a bit bloomy. However, I can fix that up with pencil if I need to. Yeah. Okay, next side. All right, I'm going to start up here, I reckon. Work my way down. I'm wiping off every time I'm like wanting to kind of change the color, or if I'm going to a darker section. Don't worry too much if you're like, what do you mean? You'll pick it up. The more you do it, the more it just kind of becomes second nature and intuitive. Yeah. So just, yeah, don't worry about it. You don't have to, if you're already freaking out about applying the color and applying the water and activating things, you don't need to add an extra, you know, step or thing to try and remember. Just don't worry about it. Just wipe off regularly so that the colors don't all become the one color. Last little bit. I'm going to try and bring a little bit of that up this top corner here. Double that out a little bit. There we go. Bit of that. All right, so now I'm actually going to go in with some watercolor paint. Now this was kindly given to me. This is a CSY Art Gallery by a lovely subscriber, so thank you. I have no idea who you are. Didn't leave your name. I get it. So I'm actually thinking, so we do have some teals up the top here. We also have this teal that has this like gold shift in it. So I'm going to use a bit of that. I'm going to try it. I've never done this before, but I want to give it a go because I think we could come up with something fun. And I'm going to try this gold. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, as obvious, there is a lot of gold on here. So I'm going to try and weave that into the background a little bit. So in order to activate that, all I'm going to do, you can spray the tin with like a spray bottle. I find that just give it a couple of drops from the brush. 1, 2. Just paint it over. And I'm just going to let that sit and soak in for about 5 minutes. All right, so I'm just going to try and show you how thick. It's not overly thick, but it's kind of, there's enough in there that I wouldn't consider that watery because I have been mixing it in. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're wanting it super thick, then you might wait a little bit longer and mix it in more. Or if, yeah, I'm kind of going for a medium, not too thick, but not too watery because it is for a background. So just get it to the consistency that you like. For me, I found it's taken quite a few goes to figure out the consistency that I like with watercolor. So that's fine. If that is you, that is fine. If you need to kind of try and figure that out as well. Okay, so I'm pretty much just going to go over if there's any bits that are bothering me that are looking too liney, like they're blooming too much, I'm going to go over them. And I'm also just going to add in areas where I think it'll look cool as well. So I might start with the top. Let's just do a bit of that. I'm going to wipe that off, blend it around. I'm going to blend it out because I don't want to have like splodges of it. It just depends on the look you're going for. So please just do whatever. You might want splodges. That can look cool. That's not me today. And I could have been neater about that, but whatever. Splodge that out. Oh, nice. I like it. Drag it a bit. Random bits everywhere. See how that dries. Next bit. Let's do a bit next to the earring as well. Splodge her out. Right, I am getting a little bit of a line there, if you can see that. It's like a gap, so I'm going to fill that in because I don't want that. I'm going to fill it up, if it will. Let's see. See how it dries. Yeah. Cut that out a bit. Bring it down. Still there. Lol. I wonder if it's because, yeah, you can see it very obviously there. I'm going to try and fill that in. I'm not really worried about the paper bleed through because this is single-sided, so I can just go in and try and fix it with as many. Take that. See how that goes. Oh dear. I'm just going to try and like smush it out again. Love the shimmery bits though. I hope you can kind of see that. I'm wondering too if it's pulled a little bit because of the paper was slightly bent. Right, because I'm so incredibly smart and I started on the left, I'm going to turn the book around. Oh man. So I can get this side done because the watercolor is a little bit wet still. So I feel like that's splodge. Like it's literally just because it's wet, I feel. So yeah, I'll just leave it. All right, let's do a bit down here. Dab that out a bit. Sometimes if you look at it from a different angle, you can see other areas to fix. Bit of that, and we might just do a bit up in the corner here. All right, so there is our page complete. I'm quite happy with how that watercolor is sitting. I'm hoping it's coming up. It's looking quite good under the light to my eyes, but you know how just sometimes it just doesn't on camera. So a couple of decisions. You could, if you wanted to put a gold border around the base and the top, you could. If you're wanting to make it look a bit more formal, that's the way that I would go. I kind of like the painterly look of an unfinished border, so I'm going to leave it at that. Because to me, she's the focus, and I'll just let the background be what it's going to be. I originally was also thinking of going through and outlining a lot of the clothing pattern work with a gel pen. However, I feel because we've already got the gold on the necklace and on the clips in her braids as well, and we've got the shimmer, I feel like it's going to be too much. I don't want like the whole thing just to be gold pen and gold paint, so I'm going to leave it at that. But if that is something you would prefer to do, then feel free just to make any adjustments that suit your tastes. Wow, guys, I cannot believe that we have finally finished this page. This has been about a month. A month worth of videos. I've just been filming a little bit every week and leaving it to the side. It feels really good to finally have this done, to have our 4-part series complete. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, and I'm hoping the other videos as well. If you have any questions about mixed pencils and why I use different brands and multiple different types on the one page, I'm hoping that that series can answer all of those questions for you. If not, feel free to leave a comment. So I will see you in the next colored pencil tutorial. Can't wait. Bye-bye.